Good afternoon. It's fast approaching 6 minutes after 3 o'clock. This is GB News. We are the People's Channel. I'm Nana Akua, and it's time to muck the week. And what a busy one it's been. At the beginning, we discovered that Coutts, in fact, closed Nigel Farage's account because he did not align with their values. That was after Nigel made a subject access request and received a 40-page dossier, which actually read as though it had been written by a school bully. In the dossier, it called Nigel racist, xenophobic, a grifter, and cited posts on his social media, like the one when Nigel retweeted a Ricky Gervais tweet about women, the actual old-fashioned ones. I mean, it was ridiculous. Yet the BBC reporter, business editor Simon Jack, who incorrectly reported that the account was closed for commercial reasons, refused and still refuses to actually apologise. Instead, Simon backtracked and posted this tweet. The headline of the Farage story has been clarified and an update posted. It should have been clearer that the reason for Mr Farage's account being closed was commercial, was what the source told the BBC. That has been corrected. It's not a game, as Simon says, Simon. You don't parrot what you hear. As a journalist, you're supposed to have a bit of due diligence. And I wonder who that source might have been, because midweek it transpired that Simon happened to sit next to Dame Alison Rose. Now, she's the CEO of Coutts at a charity dinner, and that was the night before his infamous tweet. I wonder. I'm afraid, Simon, that's simply not good enough. A decent journalist would have admitted their error instead of saying that the source got it wrong. Simon's mistake from our reputable state broadcaster, owned and paid for by us, was a green light to the established media to take that on as gospel and pile into Nigel. There was an apology of sorts from Coutts in a letter. But if they are truly sorry, surely proof of this would be to reinstate Nigel and his bank accounts. And as for Simon, well, it's not over. But moving on, oh dear. What a terrible time the Montecito moaners Harry and Meghan appear to be having. Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, is the most dumped book of the summer, with up to 100 copies being left behind by holidaymakers at resorts in Spain, Greece and Turkey. There's loads of them going spare, as hotels rush to ditch copies of the beleaguered memoir. And people are arguing in his defence that it's because it's such a big book and there's only so much weight that you can carry. But I'm not buying that. Even though I finished my favourite book, Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, there's no way you'd find me leaving that anywhere. Tour operator of On the Beach, Chief Customer Officer Zoe Harris told The Sun, "We've never witnessed anything like it. Lost property offices in our most popular resorts are brimming with copies of Spare. We thought it was funny at first, but over the past few months, several other hotels have been sending the books back." Frankly, no one can be to read his diatribe. I mean, what's the appeal of an interminable whinge fest from a 30-something-year-old spoilt brat? Papa cut me off. He didn't, but he should have. In the real world, Harry, Mama and Papa don't usually have millions to hand out to their kids when they finally leave home in their mid-30s. You're a grown man, so grow up, Harry. It seems the EU are still bitter over Brexit this week. A document calling the British overseas territory of the Falklands both the Islas Malvinas, Argentina's favoured name for them, and the Falkland Islands. Now, the document was published yesterday after a two-day summit between the 27 EU member states and the CELAC, which is the bloc of 33 Latin American countries. Now, they decided to call the Falkland Islands Las Malvinas in a treaty in an attempt at a bid for sovereignty negotiations. And James Cleverly, our very own Foreign Secretary, demanded that the European Council President Charles Michel clarify the bloc's position, but his request was refused, and an EU insider basically said the UK is not part of the EU. If they were, then perhaps they could have pushed back against it. The official also said that the Argentines have spun it in a certain way. When will these poor people get over the fact that the majority of the people in this country who voted to leave the EU, and that 10 years ago, 99.8% of Falkland Islanders voted in a referendum to say they wanted to be part of the UK. So it seems that the EU bullies just don't believe in democracy, which is one of the reasons why I voted to leave. This week also saw the Tories lose 2 out of 3 by-elections, but interestingly they held on to Boris's ex-seat of Uxbridge and South Ruislip with a very small majority. But the fact is they still won. The winning Tory candidate, Steve Tuckwell, is diametrically opposed to Mayor Sadiq Khan's ULEZ extension, which was a deal-breaker for many, and opening the door to Labour would enable it to go ahead. So some ULEZ and some you win. Or some you win, some you lose. I love that. Oh, I delivered that so badly. But to curry favour, Sadiq has now come out with a scheme to protect women. It's called May. Have a listen.
Bro, you need to lay down the ground rules straight away.
Is that what you did with that girl you took out in Shoreditch?
Wow. Nah, she ghosted me. Probably wouldn't know a good thing if it slaps her in the face. Someone I'd gladly do if I see her again.
Mate!
What did I do now?
Stop! Just stop, man. You can't be saying that, bro. That's serious stuff.
Obviously, I'd never do it.
Yeah, but just saying it is bad enough, man.
Well, perhaps seeing as every day, 3 days a week, every 3 days women are killed by men, that would also... Do you think that would help? I mean, if perhaps what would even help more is if their leader, Sir Keir Starmer, would clarify what a woman is and make sure that biological men are kept out of women-only spaces. But on a positive note, I'm very pleased to say that Suzanne Hall, who is a woman, has been voted as the new Tory mayoral candidate, so maybe she can get rid of Mayor Sadiq Khan. And finally, not in a nasty way, but obviously be voted in instead of him. And finally, to help Joe Biden, they're removing sandbags and steps. They've reduced a number of them getting onto Air Force One. Here he is now, climbing up these steps. You can literally see it. Your heart sort of thinks, no, so many steps. He's got to slip on. Yeah, he slips going up the steps, not down. Oh, twice he does it. Yeah. So hopefully that will help Sleepy Joe. It's been a mucky old week.